Hi, my name is Howard. This is my 1993 Mazda RX-7. Let's go. I'm moving on to the interior today, which is probably the part of the project I'm the most excited and nervous about. It's definitely the highlight of the project for me, mostly because of how uncomfortable I feel about this procedure since I've never done it before. The first step is to cut these, what I call body ties, which are pieces that tie the body skin to the roll cage. Because the factory pillar structures no longer exist, I can hide the roll cage by using thin gauge steel sheets to fill all the gaps between the body skin and roll cage. This will essentially create a new pillar and hide the roll cage because the roll cage will now be a part of the new pillar. Since the upper portion of this body, which includes the pillars and roof, no longer have any structural integrity, I need to be careful and cut the body ties one at a time and make sure each section is built before I cut more, otherwise the body skin might deform. After I cut the first body tie, I need to remove the existing paint to prepare a proper welding surface. Now, welding very thin sheet metal is generally quite challenging, so having a clean metal surface will definitely help a lot. With most of the paint removed, I think a good place to start is to mount the dashboard, because I know that there needs to be some sort of a joint between the pillar and the dashboard. So with the dashboard in, I'd be able to kind of measure and mark off where the pillar needs to end. Now with the dash in the car, I can go ahead and mark where my pillar needs to end. And another really cool thing I found is that, you know how normally in a roll caged car, you have the factory sheet metal inner pillar structure and the roll cage at some distance away from the pillar? And consequently, you will need some sort of a hole or cutout on your dash for the bar to go through. But once again, because this cage is so cool, with the inner pillar structure completely removed and the bar pushed against the body skin as close as possible, I actually managed to fit the dash directly into place without any modification at all. Now, I do see a bit of pressure in this area, so I think I'll go ahead and just remove a little bit of material so I can get the dash in and out more easily. But this really gives me more confidence on my hidden roll cage idea, because I feel like if I did everything right, it could look as stock and as good as possible. Now, before I continue, there's something I have to do first. I have to cut these door bars. And it hurts me. It hurts me a lot. Like, just look at the quality and construction of these things. They're one of my favorite features in this car. It really hurts a lot, but I have to do it. I've been working on this car for about 3-4 months. I've gotten in and out of this car millions of times, and I keep telling myself that I can keep these bars because I'm still young, I'm still cool. You know, I can't. I physically do not fit through this opening. It's impossible, especially if I try to simulate a real life environment where I can only open the door so wide and if I'm not allowed to grab the roof bar or anything that I plan to conceal later on. And it's just impossible, man. There's no way I can do this. And if I'm gonna cut these bars eventually, I might as well do it now because it'll save me time, it'll save my back, just a whole lot of trouble. So yeah, here we go. So I've been procrastinating for days. I don't think I was mentally ready to do this. I was like, yo, I gotta trim the dashboard some more. I gotta cut the door bars. You know, I even took the fenders off and realigned the doors so they close better. But you know, it's gotta get done, so let's go. You can see how nicely the dash now forms around the pillar. All I had to do was to cut some of the inner foam, and you can see how the leather or faux leather just kind of like tucks into itself. It looks really nice. So the plan is to do this in sections. I think I'm going to start around here and cut a long rectangular piece that kind of like gets narrower here and then flares out again. And if I'm skillful enough, I want to like bend the piece and kind of fill this rectangular-ish area. Should look really nice. Now I know a lot of guys like to use cardboard for creating templates for this kind of job. I find cardboard to be generally too thick and kind of flimsy to work with. So I found this nice rubber sheet around the shop. The thickness is kind of similar to what I'll be working with. And with this, I'll be able to trim the pieces more precisely. And I can also store these templates for later use if necessary. So yeah. So I completed the first pillar. It's been tacked in, at least on the outside. I still got to do the inside. And obviously I still have to fully seam weld everything and grind everything down, but I think it looks okay. I may or may not use body filler to flatten or straighten all the surface, because I'm thinking of just covering this with leather or maybe even just flocking it, because it's very unlikely or impossible for me to bang my head in this area into the pillars. Now, the roof area, the headliner, I'm going to have to think of something entirely different. I have some ideas, but basically it involves padding the area with a lot of pretty dense foam so that it can protect my head. Now, the next piece is this one here. It's going to go over here like that. I'm going to fill these little racing holes in the back, but this is the next piece. And this is the part of the project that's making me very nervous, because the pillars that I've welded so far has multiple layers of sheet metal on the inside of the body skin. So that's what I welded to. However, in this area and several other areas around the roof, this is the only layer, which is the body skin, right? Which means if I was to weld directly onto it, I'm going to burn the paint on the outside. And in the beginning when I was planning the project, I was kind of mentally ready to spend a lot of money in the end. Hi, Bear. And for a paint job, because when I was thinking about the pillar, all this metal work and chassis and firewall and all these things, I knew that I'm going to have to paint the car at the end of the project. But as I'm spending more and more time with it, and I'm constantly just wiping it down and cleaning it, I feel like the paint is not that bad. It'd be a shame to redo it. You see, like, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, my friend painted this car for me on his driveway, his garage or something. And not only did he paint it, he threw the car on the trailer and he drove and moved my car from Toronto, Canada, all the way to Southern California, like literally east, like coast to coast. Right, really good friend, right? So thank you, Philip. So it's very special to me. I think he did a really good job. I'm really happy with it. The car had an accident, I believe, during the transport. I think like a ratchet strap came loose and it flung around, and it caused a little bit of damage here and there. But I don't really care, because I'm going to be driving this car. This is obviously not a show car. It's not collector grade. This is my car. It's my special little car. So I don't really care, and I think the paint looks great. And I'm really cheap. If you haven't noticed already, I'm on a dad budget. I'm really cheap. Anyways, it's fine. So. This part is making me nervous because, I don't want to paint through, or I don't want to burn through this paint. So what I'm going to try to do is to, use a damp cloth. I'm going to make it as damp as it can be, but without dripping, because I'm going to be welding. I don't want to get electrocuted. So I'm going to put on the paint side, and I'm just going to, spot weld and keep it cool and just go as slow as I can, and I don't know. Fingers crossed. I don't even know if it's possible to weld it without damaging the paint on the outside. But I'm gonna try, right? So let's go. All right, yay. So that turned out pretty well. Turns out it's not possible to have the paint intact on the back side, at least not for metal this thin. But I was prepared for that. So when I made this piece, it was with the intention of welding it to not directly onto the surface, but just below that, right here. And you can see the area where I welded, but this area will be taken down, and that's where the windshield is going to go onto, and silicone and sealed, so it'll be okay. So the paint is okay. So I was kind of planning on finishing tacking all the metal interior pieces for this video, but as you can see, I'm nowhere close. I can't believe how long some of the stuff takes. But at least I think I've figured out the major hurdles, the things that's been stressing me out. I think I figured out how to overcome them. I think from this point on, it's kind of a standard process. I think everything will go pretty smoothly and quickly from now. But this video is already too long. I really wanted to keep things under 20 minutes. And I was also planning on discussing the process to get a car street legal in California, like what's allowed or not when it comes to an engine swap, but gonna have to save that for the next video. But I definitely look forward to sharing more progress with you in the next video. I really wanna finish everything on the inside next time. So yeah, cheers.